Pennsylvania, 7:00. Tuesday is in Hamilton, New Jersey, 7:30. Wednesday is in Hudson's, the town in the Hudson Valley at 7. Then
Hudson is in New York or New Jersey, Paul? I'm sorry.
It's New York. It's in the Hudson Valley. It's like going on the way to Great Barrington. Then Thursday, Great Barrington, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Friday, it's in Dover, but it's for the clients and alumni of that facility. Saturday, Sunday is open to everybody. And then
it's Saturday, Sunday is where?
in Dover. Yeah.
Oh, is that Massachusetts?
No, New Jersey. About
Dover,
a half
New Jersey.
hour from Newark, New Jersey.
Okay. Okay. So that's
3 minutes from the city. Yeah, you can take a train there.
Got you. All right. So that's the whole thing. One whole week you're gonna be there, right?
1 whole week, yes.
All right. Cool. All right.
So we're not gonna have any meetings Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. No Zooms.
No Zoom, right? It'll be in person or not at all.
Yeah, I can't. We'll be driving and stuff, and during the times we do the Zoom. So we once did a Zoom drive-in. It didn't go that well.
Yeah, sure it did. Yeah. All right.
When
So
we did the Zoom drive-in, and we lost. Yeah, so we're not going to do anything.
all right.
Yeah.
So I'll see you in Doylestown on
And
Monday.
then we're going to have an all-new non-duality when we get back.
Oh, we are? We're gonna have a
yeah.
whole new one?
Yeah.
Gonna be
All
totally
new.
different.
We're going to dye it with the East Coast flavor. Yeah.
Cool. So,
Yeah.
so we're gonna be creating something new.
Well, we're going to study that the part of De Niro in Taxi Driver. You talking to me? We're just going to and ask who is the me. Yeah. Watch that sequence over and over again. You talking to me? Talking to me? No. That's gonna be it. Yeah. Bada bing non-duality. Yeah. You have it, you lose it. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
You snooze, you lose. Yeah, it's gonna be remember that guy almost attacked me at that meeting in Great Barrington?
Oh my God, he was so angry, and I don't even know for why.
I know. I thought he was gonna jump me, but I knew I had backup.
Yeah, you did. We were ready, man. Me and Mike were ready. We're in the back ready.
Yeah, that news. Yeah, the news sometimes is breaking bad.
Yeah, it didn't land too well with him at all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why when I go into any place, I make sure I know where the exits are. Yeah. People look out. Yeah. In the early days, because my AA stuff was getting tinged with non-duality, so I'd speak on a Friday night, and everyone sort of liked it. Saturday they started to think about it. Sunday they was fucking pissed off, and I'd have to leave. I could only take like 3 days. Like in Dallas or Houston, it was a little too much. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I asked you after the meeting. I said, how do you feel, or what do you do when someone acts the way that guy acted? Because he was being so obviously like such an obvious malcontent. He was really like puffing and pouting.
Yeah, whatever, you know.
And then you said, well, I had so much practice in the AA in the Bay Area because so many people would get pissed off after a while hearing the message. They didn't like it. They wanted that traditional more.
Yes. Yeah, I had it a lot. When you walk in a room and everyone's sitting like this, leaning as far back as possible, you know it's going to be like ice breaking for about an hour. You got to break through the ice and then try to get something. Yeah.
For sure.
That's why, in a weird way, a recovery meeting is a lot easier because you're not questioning the pieces of the game board, so to speak. You're just trying to move the pieces to a different squares. Yeah, that can go pretty easy. But when you're questioning the boot or the Eiffel Tower, not trying to give you advice of how to stay out of jail free and Monopoly or get to boardwalk and bypass, spiritual bypass,
Right.
you know, the fucking Monroe place or whatever. That's all right because it's in the system itself. But when you speak outside the system uh
It,
it gets upset in some
yeah,
time.
it
You
does,
know,
you know?
you ever see there's a very nice it was on Netflix. It was called The Wild Wild Country. It was like a
Yeah.
documentary on
Oh, so,
Rajneesh in Oregon when the Rajneesh people were building that place, and there was a lady Sheila that was running the daily affairs,
mhm.
and somehow, and they were gonna build like a city, like a utopian type thing, very great ideal and everything. And there was a little town called Antelope right next to where they were building it.
Mhm.
And the little town, they would interview some of the people in Antelope, and out of, let's say, 4 interviews, in 2 of the interviews, they said the exact same thing, which is, I get afraid of what I don't know. So
Yeah.
basically, Rajneesh and those people didn't do a good enough job of telling the people what was up, and the people came to their own conclusions and they flipped out. Yes.
Right,
So
right.
you're going to run into the state of affairs is going to become defensive when it doesn't know something or something doesn't fit into its paradigm. Yeah.
Right, right, right. I was
If
just
you
gonna say
present
that.
a path and you present it's going to take a whole lot of time, the head can adapt to that quite easy. Yeah.
Right,
And it
right.
can even sign up for it because it's totally into becoming something else as self. It is. It will sign up 40 years of becoming. It just doesn't want to be something other than self. Yeah.
Right.
It flips out and it's good. It's a good sign when it does. If everyone was getting it, I'd be really worried about the message. Yes.
Well, you know, I mean,
Serious.
to be real, I'll be quick, but to be honest, like when I first read Ramesh and Wayne Lickerman, you know, it bothered me too. Like, I mean, not, you know, I was already a seeker, so it didn't matter. Like I had to deal, you know, it wasn't about just rejecting something outright, but it didn't sit well. You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
so,
Yeah. Well, the
and
thing is, let's say the seeker is established. Let's say you've been on 5 different paths, but you've been the seeker in every path. Yeah.
right, right,
So there's a familiarity. And so it gets used to seeking. It finds a great home there because
right,
it knows you're never going to arrive at where you already are. So it has a great insurance policy, and it will sign on to situations that it may take lifetimes to produce an effect because it's going to be the one that's doing it all the whole time. Yeah.
right,
So when that seeking meets non-duality, it either has to make it into something or it splits usually. Yeah. Because it's boring.
right,
Yeah. It doesn't see anything in it. It
right,
can't get a big reflection of itself. It's not going to be the main topic, and it's not a process that's going to be taking time and space, and it's going to be completely dependent on you to get it or not to get it. Yeah. This
yeah,
is a whole different ball game. So non-duality gives you nothing. It's just here. And you're hoping it's there, so to speak, so that you can be the one who tries to get there. But it's so here, it becomes, in a sense, if truly delivered, it becomes threatening to the system because the
right,
system can't fit itself around it, and it can't fit the non-duality around itself. Yeah. It just
right.
sounds bogus. Have you heard people when they you know, they see this as an out so they don't have to, you know, deal with their alcoholism because there's no one who's an alcoholic. Yeah.
Right,
And so now they're a drunk non-dualist.
right,
Yeah. It's just the same shit. It's just like the pig has been, lipstick has been put on the pig, or a snake, legs have been added onto the snake. It's not, the
Yeah.
elephant is still inhabiting the room.
Well, it's still like this is still rooted in conceptual like thinking. It's not like it's
Well,
not,
yes,
yeah,
of course. All seeking is, in a
right.
sense.
So
Yeah.
what I wanted to say like is, but along the way, but you were one of the most powerful ones to deliver the message for me, but was that something hears it and does recognize it,
Yes.
and then it doesn't really matter if the mind understands or not, because this is
Yes,
of
unless there's that strong identification as the mind, because mind matters in the act of being identified as that. Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't matter, but mind matters if a certain condition is in place. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
And this is the beauty of it, because instead of looking at everything from that condition, non-duality allows you to look at the condition. Yeah. And then
Right.
the clarity of understanding of non-duality brings a very clear light to the misunderstandings we've just taken to be so. We're just living as if these are like truths that are indisputable, like I'm me and whatever. Yeah, I'm the doer of the actions and all this. It brings into a new light that sort of shines on the misunderstandings in a way that it's sort of like when a dog's trying to understand you and it does its little head move, it
Yeah.
starts doing things like that because it's not fitting the mental logic. Thank God. Jesus Christ.
Well, the
Yeah,
mental logic is what brings all the dissonance a lot of times. I mean, that's where,
exactly. So it doesn't fit any of these systems.
right,
It brings them into contrast. And
right,
I hope we supply some spiritual shoes here, and if the shoe fits, wear it. See what happens. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So
Because yeah,
I got you here for a minute. Just so if you are going through, let's say, the understanding is landed enough that the remembrance is fairly steady, but you go into some situation, and it doesn't really matter. Like I liked what you said a couple weeks ago. It doesn't, when the remembrance, it doesn't really require that you remember all the time. Like it starts to not even matter that much in a way. You know what I mean? Like you
well,
always
yeah,
find yourself back in the same place anyway. But I just noticed, like with certain changes, I told you a few months ago, like I felt like my life was going to change, or things were going to change, and it was going to have to be change and growth, and that's sort of been the case. And I feel like along the way, I'll just be frank, like it's a new relationship, and it has different, you know, there's some,
oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that, John.
yeah, yeah.
I didn't
So
know it was a relationship.
yeah, it was a new relationship, and it requires different things, like so
Yeah,
you don't see, some things don't get come out until they're stimulated, right? Like like
yes,
some, and I've noticed I'm going through like little peaks and valleys of like like that old feeling of those, that touch the wound, or that,
yeah. You're
that hurt.
outgrowing shit. It can
Yeah,
be uncomfortable.
it can be uncomfortable, exactly. And there's
But
a
to
peak,
who?
but to who, right?
Yeah.
That's, yeah, right,
But
exactly.
this is how this is the action figure when it outgrows something, there's a familiarity. The feet tried its best to fit the shortness of the shoe
Right,
and, adapt to the uncomfortability. And when you take it out, it's that familiarity makes it sort of stubborn. But as soon as it starts walking around with much more cushioned shoes, it's going to adapt quickly to the new condition. But there is as the action figure, this is dreaming in time. So things happen. Yeah.
right,
The cause is a timeless thing, but how they express is through time. So the action figure grows into shit and outgrows shit. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's nice that you're willing to face life and then call the relationship, and you'll see that you can face life successfully. And that's going to enlarge in the scope of the action figure lens, which is good for it. Yeah.
And
It's,
would it be wrong to say, Paul, though, would it be wrong to say that it's also the understanding or the remembrance is like pervading that the action figure more and more?
for
Or is
sure.
that
See, if presence is the influence, you don't have to remember presence because it's present. Yeah.
Right.
You remember shit that you think is not now. Yeah.
Right.
But presence is a sense that overrides the mental thinking. Yeah. So the
Right.
thinking telling you something is not here now gets ridden by the sense of presence. The I am doesn't need to be remembered because it isn't I was. What you would be remembering would be an I was. And what you're hoping for would be I will be, but it's I am now, presence. Yeah.
Right.
So the remembering is just to fool the head. And then there's a loss of interest in the head. And then your own bouquet from I amness is presence. You know. Yeah.
Right.
So that touchstone for you to remember is ever present. So there's no remembering.
Right. It's already there.
Yes. So this is like a knowledge, just like that story about, you have a house, you've been living there, you just got up and you go to work. And does going to work make you forget you have a house? And do you have to remember that you have a house while at work? Yeah. And if work went overtime, would you be more apt to forget that you have a house? Or if you worked in a far away location, would that convince you don't have a house? No, you'll probably have a feeling you have a house. Yes.
Okay. So this is the thing. Like I get that, and I felt that it's a beautiful feeling because obviously the mind's failed so many times in trying to hold on to like a position that it feels like it has it and it never works. So like I love that analogy with the house because it is something deeper that gets this and doesn't need to keep remembering it mentally. But what I do notice is just that in certain situations, the old sense of claimership and of attachment or whatever it is that the ego. No, I don't know if the ego is a great word, but the seeking of validation or whatever it may be. And then you think. I try to think. That's the key word there. I try to think okay, let me non-dual my way out of this, and it doesn't work.
Of course. Again, because it's uncomfortable, let's say, you go to what you think you can rely on. So it's the thought system. You don't do that, the head does. And so this is trusting the finite self instead of trusting the infinite. That's a level that happens. It's not you, it's a level that happens. And on that level, skillful means a helpful. Yes.
So when you
outmatch and you're in an affair that you can't practice the principles that you believe you have, then you limit your affairs or you do some tricks,
and so that would be like surrender, you always talk about, and
serenity prayer.
Right.
That's what we used a lot in recovery is serenity prayer. It's a beautiful thing, which is, hey, give me the peace to accept things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And there you go. So all you need in a way, when the head is building momentum, you just want to throw a wrench in the works. Yeah.
So the way you just described it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like we're not really trying to have new beliefs here, but
no,
but faith is important because I feel like what you described is in a sense faith, in a sense of the faith.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's faith enriched with being convinced, because
it's faith in reality.
Make mountains out of molehills, but faith and mountains are unbelievable. Yeah. So if the faith is in something that is truly reliable, which is the source of existence called the I am, that faith is going to produce effects, but the feeling and everything is going to be much different than the faith in false evidence. Yeah.
Right. So you
So
combine the two.
you're
and
going
you
to,
have to,
faith, you're not, but faith is going to combine with truth. And there's a lot of power there. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So,
That's-
but see, I think the Course in Miracles captures it as level confusion. We try to capture it with if your house is on fire, you're getting super hot, you don't chant, there is no house and no fire. It would be better off to get a pail of water. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then after the fire's out, you can see who's the fire starter. And then the whole fucking fire starter fire and the reactions will drop, break up, you'll see something. But while you're feeling super hot and the house is on fire, you need a pail of water. Or there's another way.
Yeah.
If there's some shit going on and there's flies swirling around it and you keep saying there's no shit, but the flies are still there, you better fucking get a shovel or something.
Right.
Yeah. And
Yes.
move the shit.
Yeah. Don't try and non-dual it away. Like just
No
deal with it.
way. It doesn't work.
Doesn't
Has it
work at all.
worked?
It actually makes it more frustrating because then it feels like
Exactly.
you
Yes.
get caught up in more mind games.
Something when you're dealing with something, sometimes you deal with another something.
Right.
You don't try to deal with nothing. If the something is real and you try to use nothing, it doesn't work. Nothing is to see nothing is real. It's not to make something you think is real unreal. It's seeing nothing is real.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's different. This is why it's very frustrating for people because they believe they intellectually get non-duality, but it's not translating any way they thought it would, like traveling lighter and shit. So then it's like, again, maybe not believe yourself, but believe the flies. If the flies are still there, there's shit.
Right. And just deal with it. It just don't,
It's a good indication. Yeah.
And it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. It's fine.
Right.
Yeah. You got to render unto Caesar's what's Caesar's. You're appearing in Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I mean, this place is unbelievable. This
And who's
place
it's like there's someone upset sometimes. Oh, well, why did I seem to sink down to the old way? But then who's really the one that holds on to the upsetment with that?
See, this idea that you went into old ways is the one that wants to permeate the new ways. Yeah.
Okay.
Just trying to get in through the old door to get into the new apartment. Yeah. You get a feeling of it after a while. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. It has bogus papers. It doesn't even look like you when you listen to its description of you. It's just completely, So
It's just sometimes it's a weird feeling to know that you can be totally detached and yet still totally at the same time fully in something, but it does feel like a little foreign as a human being because it doesn't feel like that's what's going on in most people. And sometimes I feel like I feel a little bit.
It feels like a human being to the human being because the human being, the head is constantly looking for a complete get out of jail free card.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It wants to have done, it wants all the fruit, but it doesn't want to pick any weeds, so to speak. It wants it to be everything great for me as
Just
me,
one.
just as I am.
Yeah.
It's not that way. This is traveling lighter. It doesn't say everything is fucking incredibly great. It means you travel lighter through whatever life has in store for this experience. That's all.
Right.
Yeah?
It's not about trying to control and create a certain experience that you're going to hold on to or get rid of. That's all back in the old ways.
Look at all the people who made up utopias. What happened to them?
Yeah, it didn't end well.
I mean, this place is The dominion of this place is dualistic. Yes.
Right.
Yes. When you want one thing, it tends to attract the opposite at times. Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, this isn't, I got to stop wanting. This is an easier, softer way. Just see that what that is wanting isn't you, because you're not going to stop wanting. That thing ain't going to do it. So if it's already set up the requirements for you never to succeed.
Right.
When it says you got to live without any expectations, you're going to fail in about 20 minutes. I'm expecting this meeting to end at 8:00, hopefully. And then it goes over it. And so therefore I'm disappointed. My expectations weren't met. Yeah. What I do is I just don't see there's anyone there. It just works. I'm telling you. The other didn't work for me. I do not believe you as a mental condition can beat the paradigm of the mental condition. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Just see what happens. Even to this day, I lose something, I misplace it. I think someone stole it. In like a second, the head comes in, goes, someone stole it.
Right.
Like unbelievable. You could be practicing mindful, extreme master philosopher mindfulness. It's still going to beat you. Because what's practicing mindfulness is after. It's an effect of all these mental causes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's reacting to, you felt like someone stole it. Yeah. And so now you're calling up, you're asking your friend, I want to find who stole the car. And then you just forgot where you parked it, actually. And then no one or no your friends, this happened with us. Your truck was a beater. No one's gonna steal your truck. You'd be better off if they did. You'd get more money from the absence of it than the truck. So you're gonna get before that.
No.
You're gonna tame that reaction. Give me a fucking break.
But in this
Doesn't work
scene,
that
but you
way.
said there's
You
a
see, it's
scene that
not
there's
you.
no one there. Right.
Hmm?
The scene that it's not you. That's like,
And the fact is, there is not you. It's
There
not
isn't,
like
right.
I got to imagine there's no you. No, you cannot see a you.
so that's a different way
An
of putting
activity,
it.
you tell me where you see you doing it. No,
Yep.
there's an assumption. And then the mental state pictures you as a body, and it remembers that body as you. There you go. Yeah. You don't see shit.
Right. Yeah.
There isn't a selfing. There's selfing that implies something, and something takes that implying and pictures it as a you, a body, a you. And now that body carries the representation of being the doer, the thinker, the feeler, the taster, the toucher, the one who had the expectations, the one who was disappointed by not getting the expectations met. Yes, you
Right.
now become the depository of all this claiming. And you're
Right.
walking around, you're not much, but you're all that you can think about. It's fucking incredible.
You're not much, and it's all you can think about, right? And and it feels like a lot of weight because
Of
everything
course it
is
is, because it is a lot of weight. It's mental weight.
right. You're carrying everything. You're carrying every experience you have, every reaction you have. It's all belongs to a you, which doesn't even exist.
Jesus, you're carrying a past around.
Right. Just think of that
Yes.
alone.
And that past, you're projecting a future of the same fucking quality.
Right. Knowing the knowledge that you're not that is that really the phrase traveling lighter is really a great one because it actually is putting down all of that the
Well, you hit
claimant
it
did.
right there. There's an acknowledgement. You're not that, because
Right.
you're not that.
Right. Because you're not that. Not because
It's
you
not
think
like
you
you're acknowledging the fact there is no you. That's
Right.
based, you're not making up the fact. You're not trying to make it a fact. You're acknowledging it. Yes.
Right. Now, you used the thing, you made a very quick like synopsis of self-inquiry about a few months ago, you talked about Ramana and the who am I, and you said it's so simple, like it's like who am I, and then the answer, the way you described it was like it was so stark. I mean, obviously, like I don't know if you can remember that. I know it's like
Yes, but see, that was people who wrote Ramana's teachings. I think Ramana only wrote one thing in his own dialect that was
right,
an obscure thing, but a lot of the people who got a lot out of from Ramana wrote about his teachings. And
right,
when one of them, and more than one, was describing the self-inquiry, because obviously a lot of ideas come up. Anytime you're introduced to something that seems to be a little unusual, doesn't fit into a pattern, yeah? And
right,
then people want to make it a practice or an order or something you got to do always. Well, he says, the one who's asking, who am I, is not thee, and the one who is being asked is not you. So it's a negation of this dualistic aspect of self, which is that which is being observed and the observer of it. Yeah. So that
right.
which asking, who am I, and that which is going to try to respond to it, neither of them are you.
The
That's the
thinker,
beauty of it.
the thinker, or the thought, right,
It's like a missile strike of negation.
right. Like
Takes out two targets at once. Yeah. So the
you also,
missile comes out and gets two targets at once.
I've heard you describe it also as like the thinker and the thought of, right? Kind of the same type of thing, right? Like this negating the thinker and it's negating the thought of, which
Well, no, really, in this case, it's the observer of all the thinking that
okay,
casts itself sometimes as the thinker and sometimes as the thought about, or sometimes as the witness, or sometimes as the observer.
right,
Yes, it's a
right,
negation of those two. It's not the thinker and the thought, it's the thinker and the observing of the thinker. Yeah.
uh
Yes.
that's
So
that's like the policeman aspect, like
that's it can be the policeman aspect that gets emphasized. Now, the observed self, when the thief is there, it's just trying to deny and distract itself so it can just do what it's doing, because it's willing to pay any consequence tomorrow to get a little bit of relief now. So
right.
a policeman would be the biggest fucking party pooper that could ever walk into the situation. The last fucking thing it wants to hear from is the policeman.
Right, right. But then when you start seeking, the policeman becomes a big part of your,
Well, yes. Then
you know.
purity, then, I've got to be perfect.
Right,
No thought. That's all policeman jargon, I feel. Yes.
right, right.
Because it knows it's impossible. So it's just going to berate you constantly. And it's like sadistic. It likes to hit you with a baton occasionally. And you know what I mean? And it
Yeah,
just has you doing more.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good, man. Thanks, Paul, man. It's great talking to you. Look
Yeah.
forward to seeing you. Look forward to seeing you on this week.
Oh, great. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing you, John, too.
Yeah, great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I hope when someone asks a question, we very rarely give an answer to the person. It's just riffing, right? Right. I hope so. Yeah. Yeah. All right, Mike. If anyone,
Anybody want to raise their hand?
I want to say hello to Anu. There she is. Anu, how are you, honey? Kerry, John, Craig May. He's playing. I don't know. Craig doesn't. I don't know if he's going to spring the corner on us today. That's all right. So who else?
Well, you got two
Okay.
hands. You got two
I'm
hands
ready.
up.
Who?
You have two hands up, David and Kathy B. David
All right.
down under, Kathy B.
Well, let's start with Kathy and then David.
Okay.
Hi, Paul.
Hey.
I was wondering, I've been trying to stop distracting myself. So my drug of choice has been the internet and YouTube for ever since YouTube was released. And lately I've been doing that challenge on and off for the past 10, 12 years. And lately, over the past months, I was a little bit successful at not watching YouTube videos as much. But the difficult part is that I really feel miserable when I don't numb myself. And I was wondering if you have any practical advice to help me go through that period.
Again, I'm a big proponent of service. Yeah. Yeah. Because you're trying to get out of something that you're not in, actually. And with all the Zooms, and now you're trying to get out of the Zooms that we're trying to get out of the other thing. Yeah. That you're not in. And I don't think it would be helpful to give you the third thing to try to get out of this and this and this, but to lose a little bit of interest and attention in that pursuit by putting it on to somewhere else, to someone else. Yeah. Like if you could do, like go to an animal shelter and feed some of the animals, you would forget your whole situation probably. Yeah. Yeah. So just because when you're in the in and out, that's a bigger in, yeah? So you're in wanting to get in out, that out you're wanting to get into is part of a bigger in, so to speak. If you could just, instead of trying to get in and out, just have the attention distracted and go out of this in and out pattern, I think you'd feel a lot different. So I recommend service. If you're feeling like you're trying to stop something that is a way of escaping from that fear of being in, yeah, and then you feel miserable when you stop that, it's a perfect diagnosis for service in my view. Yeah, not service to people you know and have underlying relationships and dynamics, but like to strangers. Yeah. Yeah, go do some service. Like when I used to go to, I remember I went to Sai Baba's ashram, a great teacher in India in the 90s. I immediately just, because I knew about service in AA, yeah, how important it was for people that have a closed loop that they seem to be in constantly, which has a lot of desires of outs, but it's just one big in. So I would go into the kitchen and just do service. Yeah. And it was difficult to be thinking about myself with these big pots fucking coming in with all the dal and shit like that and the chais. I was fucking so busy. I couldn't think about myself and it felt fucking great. It felt great, and I had camaraderie, and some of the people I was working with in there we became roommates, and we stayed there for a month, and it just works. So if you're feeling miserable by trying to stop that, let's say, addiction, it just sounds like, addictions are not that unique. It's not how the mental state expresses the addiction, it's the addiction itself. So I figure the answer that we have in recovery is quite suitable to you, which is service. Yes. It will pull the attention and interest out of this in and out going on. Yeah, it will. And you'll feel different. And once you can feel what it would be like out of that thing, it may motivate or produce some willingness. Yeah. If you getting out of this thing that was being used to get out of another thing, it's going to be the same, you're in the same Yes, you're in the same movement, right? But when you feel out of those movements, that can trigger a lot of willingness, because you get a free sample of what it's like to be out of these things. Yeah. You're not getting that sample by getting into something else to get out of something else. Yeah. Service is just I think it would work pretty well. Yeah. Yeah. So that would be my suggestion. I'm not going to tell you to stop doing something. You can use, do it as much as you like, and you can use all that activity and ask yourself, who is it that's doing it? That's valuable. But for some relief, I would say service. Yeah. There's plenty of opportunities. These people I knew in AA, what people would do, and they weren't up such a spiritual ass, they had a question if they were selfless while they were doing the service or not. They just did the service. And they would go to the city on Thanksgiving. In America, there's a holiday called Thanksgiving. And a lot of people who aren't doing well aren't having a great day. And they would go and deliver food to people. Yeah. Free food. And man, the relief they felt, they were bright as hell when you'd see them after that, that night. Yeah. So there you go. Light will beget more light. But if you're searching through a method of darkness to get to the light, another method of darkness isn't going to help, really, I feel. Yeah. So there you go.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, David.
Hi, Paul. Hello, everyone. I didn't know how I was going to start this off with a question or whatever I wanted to ask you, but when you were talking to John before, he said something to you like that you were doing a meeting or something a while ago, and someone didn't like what you were saying, and let's say they sort of I don't know, call it mental abuse, or tried to mentally abuse you, yelling at you or whatever. Obviously there was no physical abuse, I don't think. But anyway, that I go through, I perceive that I go through that with someone in my life like pretty often towards me. And hang on.
No, let it out, bro. Just let it out. It's not you.
And it's like hard to cope with. It's like,
Sounds great.
you sort of said that you had a practice through AAs coping with that. And my way of coping with that in the past is to retaliate, getting angry or physical, which I really try not to do anymore. And I think this has taught me that that's not a good thing to do. But I still really struggle with it. And I just don't know what to do. I know that I actually know that it's not me, the real, like it's this body that they're directing it at. So sometimes that can, it's like puts up a shield, and I can cope a bit then. But generally I can't. And anyway, that's all.
Well, it's not that's all, bro. It's out now. So a power is available to reconfigure that, eh? It's not in your domain. You shared it, so. Yeah. this is something we go through in AA, and one of the observations you'll see is that you learn that you can life successfully. Yeah. This new power flowing in, a sensing of a presence, and then you start learning that you could face life successfully. And maybe in your case, you won't physically retaliate. Yeah. And then it will, and that whole beast can change and be put to a different use in your life. Yeah. Yeah. But first, it's nice to have it, letting it appear so it can start to disappear, so to speak. You holding it back doesn't work. So there you go. I'm happy you feel safe enough here to share it. It's great. Yeah. We had there's a thing that they talk about in recovery that we are, some of us are incapable of having a viable relationship with another person. So you could say could be a pretty defensive posture, yes, or a fragile or hurt something condition. Yet, and I raised my hand, I felt that, and now I don't, yeah, over time. Yeah. So, as the Course of Miracles says, there are no sins here. They're just mistakes that can be corrected. Yeah. So, yeah. Anger is a very powerful force. In the right hands, it can make it's made a lot of meetings in AA. People would get angry at a person at another meeting and start their own. So anger has a lot of power. It's just how it's directed. The mental state wants to direct it like that direction of, when I thought I lost something, someone stole it. You know what I mean? It's like one of those knee-jerk fucking things, but it's volatile and physical, and you may lay your hands on somebody. Yeah. You got to learn methods to not allow that to get that far. And then let's see what happens to the underlying causes and conditions. When they change, the behavior is going to change. Yeah.
It doesn't go that far, Paul. I actually haven't laid my hands on anyone like that. It doesn't go that far, but it's like the days afterwards, it's like this guilt trip. It's like it fucks with my head.
Yeah. We call them emotional hangovers. I was introduced to them after in recovery, because usually I'd be loaded when I acted out, and I would just get more loaded. When I didn't get loaded, those 3 days of emotional hangover, really was a teaching to the action figure. It just learned that payoff cost ratio sucked. And I started to behave differently, literally. Yeah.
It's weird because, like you say, you were loaded. Like, I don't drink. Like, I wasn't drunk. I don't do drugs. But I've got some of the addiction. I've obviously loaded on something.
Well, listen, man, let's just see how it goes. And thank you for sharing.
No worries.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And there's lots of people who have similar tendencies in this place and these meetings, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind chatting and stuff. Yeah.
So thank you.
Thanks, David. Craig May's got his hand up.
Craig, all right. Is it Craig's Corner, or is it just going to be Craig? Let's see, hold on.
Oh, no, I think, well, have you got your PJs on?
I do, actually.
I just wanted to share just when I was out on a walk yesterday afternoon, and where I live here, I walk everywhere, and there's a few different sort of ways to go. And I've done all the walks around here, I've done hundreds of times. And every time I go out for a walk, it's like I'm doing the walk for the first time. It's just such a beautiful feeling to do that. When you're going over a track that you've been over dozens and dozens and dozens of times, and it's like the first time. It's beautiful. Anyway, I was out on a walk yesterday, and I noticed there was a woman walking a dog, and the dog was about 20 meters in front of her, and I spotted it just as it was a few meters in front of me. It was a beautiful mid-sized dog, a beautiful black coat, gorgeous looking thing. You could tell it's how well looked after it is. And it spotted me. And as soon as it saw me, its tail just went off, and it started looking around on the ground. And it was looking around on the ground, and it picked up this twig, and it walked across my path. It didn't come up to me. It walked across my path and stopped me. And it put its body and head against my legs quite forcefully. And it was just this beautiful, warm exchange. And the dog gave me the twig it had in its mouth. It was like a gift, I assume. And he or she just stood there and was wagging the tail, and the warmth that come through was I can just feel it now when I'm talking about it. It was just so gorgeous. And I just bent over and gave the nice, rub under the neck. And then I stood up, and the dog was still there. It was still literally pushing itself against my legs, not forcefully, just gently. And it was just lovely. It was just such a beautiful little exchange. And then the person who was walking the dog went past, and she said something. I didn't pick up on what she said. It was nice, something nice. And she went past, and the dog stayed, and then it decided it had done its thing, and it did a little turn, and up it went. Gave me a little look as it went around. It was just beautiful. Such a lovely little exchange. Just a little further on, I spotted about 20, 30 meters in front of me, there were new parents, a mother and a father. They had a pram, but it was a lay-down pram, so there was obviously a baby in the pram. And the guy was putting on one of those vests, those vests they put on your chest where you can carry the baby on your chest. He was in the process of putting that on. Anyway, as I got up towards them and I was passing them, the woman was leaning down into the pram, and she was picking the baby up. The baby had its eyes closed and it was irritable. Obviously, that's why they were taking it out of the pram, to put it in, to try something else. As she was lifting the baby up, I swear to God, this fucking energy, whatever, it just feeling hit me. And it was, this baby was maybe a couple of weeks old. It was just tiny. But it was that thing that this child, this beautiful little innocent baby who hasn't been indoctrinated in any way, shape or form yet. And it just let off this, I don't know how to explain it. It was like being in the presence of something fucking awesome. It was an incredible feeling. And I actually felt my heart just do a little flutter. Do you know what I mean? And I involuntarily sort of went, like I don't know. It was just awesome. It was the power that, it seems so ludicrous to put a word on it, but it was just, I've never felt anything like that before. And it came from that little helpless baby. It was grizzling, you know, and it just, that thing, that energy just lifted off and it just in a split second, just as I was going past, it happened in a split second, like that timeless, it's like it stopped, you know, some time. Oh, Jesus Christ, like time stopped, you know, it was just fucking incredible. It was just like that. It was like being in the presence of something fucking awesome. Oh, Jesus Christ. From that little helpless little child. I mean, Jesus Christ. That was beautiful. It was really beautiful. It gives you a sense, a sense of the fucking immense power that we are, you know. We've got, as the action figure, I mean, if we got anywhere near, if we got anywhere near an inkling of the immense fucking power that we are, our brain would fry. The action figure just can't go there. The action figure's brain would fry to a crisp. Do you know what I mean? We just can't fucking go there. It is so far fucking beyond our pay scale, but you can get a little fucking hit, you know? And I got that hit from that helpless little baby. Jesus Christ, you know? It's that fucking power in the pause, you know? The pause says so much. And that there was just a exquisite pause in that moment. Just so beautiful. And yet that's what we are. That's what we all are. That thing that is so, so beyond our understanding, which is us. It can be quite beautiful to contemplate, even though it's futile. It's completely futile to contemplate because we can't get anywhere near it. Yet it's still beautiful. It can be beautiful to do so. So yeah, there you go. That was my little walk yesterday afternoon.
Oh,
These things show up every day. Every day. Yeah.
well, Craig, now is when the camera slowly zooms out of Craig's corner and goes back to the other squares of the Zoom with a little smile. We always leave with a little smile when we leave Craig's corner. Next week, shh. But now, Vacus.
Well, I got to say, man, it's lovely to be able to come here and share it with a group of people who I think I really appreciate it, and that's you know, the beauty of that's not lost on the action figure. I really think so highly of this community and what's on offer here and what goes on between us all. You know, I think at times here, that power that I was talking about is here. It's present here. It's that space that's being held by a bunch of action figures that are unaware of it, actually, because it's not coming from the action figure. It's us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of like the action figure is looking for the lit match it dropped in the light of our space. Yeah, it's sort of funny. Hey, I really, you know, you're going to become a syndicated show on Zen Bitch Slap. We're gonna
Maybe
we gotta find a time slot for you. We're gonna have a Zen Bitch Slap committee meeting and we'll get back in touch with you. We don't know when. We'll yeah. Well,
Whatever
first
you're
off, maybe
doing.
with a 15-minute, but we're gonna guarantee you'll have an hour in a year. How's that?
Just glad to be of service, man.
Nice to see you, Craig. Really, thank
You
you.
too. You too.
Mike is where are you? Oh, there he is. Mike. Anyone else?
No hands right now? Nope.
There's a statement in recovery, unsuspected in a resource. And so now for many of us here, it's suspected. Yeah. That's as far as you need to go. It's suspected. If you try to know it, you're gonna be disappointed because ultimately you are it. So the highest level of understanding is that it's suspected. And it's a huge difference than unsuspected. It changes the traveling for sure. So, yeah. In other words, that which wants to go to the 3-yard line before the goal line of knowledge, you've used it, it's done its job at suspected. That's as far as it needs to go. Yeah. Then that will become revelatory. You don't want to have a higher power or a power of your own understanding. It's you want to have a power of its own understanding. Yeah. Therefore, in your suspecting of that inner resource, that power, downloads are going to occur. And that power is going to reveal itself through this. Yeah. And you may come to the conclusion that it's you. Yeah. 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 Completely still the mystery, but you. Yeah. So I'm happy to be here. So anyone else?
Nope.
No? Well, if you want, we can end if you like on that note. Yeah. I'll start saying goodbye and see where it goes. So we got John, my bug man. We got Mike. Nice to see you, Mike.
See you in a week.
Did you get that thing from Vita I sent you, the flyer? Great.
Yeah, I put up the one that Jacob did, but that one was not formatted to do well on Zen Bitch
Oh,
Slap.
all right. So just put out the info though from Vita,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Good. All right. Kathy, nice to see you again, honey. Yeah. Let us know how things go, if you don't mind. Yeah, let us know how things go.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Kerry, as always. Greg, Minnesota. Feeling all right, bro? Yeah,
I'm feeling really good.
great.
Thanks.
Anu. Any excuse for me to say the word anew, I'll try to use.
It's good to see you, Paul.
Good to see you, honey. Emerson, Long Beach. He was approaching God through the playing of God. Yeah. Marty, nice to see you, bro. Thank you for all the help with the videos, the Wi-Fi. William, I'm hoping everything's traveling a little lighter, Will. Yeah, great. Dennis W, nice to see you. Sherry, as always, thank you. I think you're coming up here soon or whatever. Yes. Shannon Corkery. I just like to say Shannon Corkery. I do. When I'm feeling whatever, I say Shannon Corkery and everything changes. Pretty good. David. Thanks, bro, for sharing. Yeah. Really. Harry. Harry. We'll have to talk, yes. Miranda, there she is. I hope it's still going well, babe. Yeah? The power stays focused, get in the habit of being sober. Hallelujah. Yeah. John L. Nice to see you, John. I'll see you this coming soon. We're going to be here on Saturday. And we'll be here tomorrow. But next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday won't be happening next week. Saturday will, but not Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Mia, she's driving again. She's all right. We got Paula. Nice to see you, Paula. Alan Olson. I'm going to be meeting Alan live in Sicily, I hope. That would be nice. Peter, nice to see Peter. Angie, yeah, I'm going to have a chance of meeting Angie in Sicily. That's going to be cool. Yeah. You know, it's only a 7-hour drive to Toronto down to Dover. You can always come to New Jersey. My last friend, remember, I forgot his name. That's how I met him. A friend of Tommy and whatever. Never mind. He drove from Toronto when I was in Dover. Chris. Chris, nice to see you. John S., Florida. Kathy B., we got that. We got this. We got Deborah in Alberta. Nice to see you, Deborah. Susan K., my latte lady. Grateful Dave, always a pleasure to have you guys here. Hey, thanks. And I hope to see you tomorrow. If we got the thing at 10:30, it's 1:30, I guess, other time, 10:30 Pacific, and then Saturday, 1 p.m. Pacific time. Hey,
When
if
do you
you're
fly?
Hmm?
When do you fly?
I fly Sunday morning, and then yeah,